Well, here we are. We made it to December. To that I say, Merry Christmas, of course, if you celebrate that. I also just want to say thank you in advance for 15,000 subscribers. I haven't actually passed it yet. I'm about 75 people away. But with the kind of growth that I've had recently, I imagine I'll pass that right about the time that this video goes live, which is insane to even think about because I was on here like putting up videos on YouTube for over 3 years before I even passed 4,000 subscribers. And in the past 6 months, I've gone from 4,000 to 15,000. It's like my brain is having a hard time even processing that information. Also, I moved my fill light over here that fills in this side of my face, got it up off the floor and kind of mounted it up there. And I'm realizing I should have turned it up a little bit because I'm looking super dark and dramatic here. We'll just have to see what it looks like in the edit. It might look cool. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so as always, what we're going to do here is we're going to start the video off with a wrap up from last month of everything that I read that didn't get a dedicated book review. Then I'm going to move into my TBR for December, which I will start with the books that I'm going to read in December, move on to the manga that I'm going to read in December, and then lastly, I will announce the Patreon pick for the month of December. Did I say December enough? Starting off with the wrap-up. I read 6 books last month and 2 manga. Of those, the ones that didn't get dedicated reviews was Seven Eves, The Girl Next Door, and The Dead House Gates. As always, the last book that I read in the month was Dead House Gates. We will not be discussing it here because that will get its own video. That'll actually be the next video I put out probably later this week. I haven't even started working on it. I was supposed to be ready. I was going to try and film that video and this video like back to back today. Yeah, I'm not ready. I have nothing prepared. I haven't even put the first note together. No. Anyway, the books that I read last month. Seven Eves. I read that first thing in the month. That was the very first book I read. Wow. All I have to say is wow. This is fabulous. Neil Stephenson is just amazing. He's kind of like hard sci-fi in the sense that, boy, he really wants to talk about the math. He wants to get into the details of how this is going to work. Seven Eves is a book where the moon just explodes. It's like the first sentence of the book. Oh, the moon blew up unexpectedly and without any, reason. And then it's just, how do we go from there? How are we going to survive this? Because now, what is this going to cause? Well, it's going to cause all these devastating events, and this is going to rain down from the sky and ravage the earth for hundreds of years. How do we as a species survive this? And then he goes on into how this is going to work, and it's fabulous. I cannot express how much I enjoyed this book. And then that's like the first 2/3 of it is like us figuring out how we're going to survive. And then there's this point where it says 5,000 years later, and it shoots forward in time to see where we're at now in the future, having survived this, having all of the ramifications of the moon being destroyed now past. Are we going to come back to Earth and repopulate it, or how is this? Just what happens? What does the future look like 5,000 years out after we've survived everything, if we survive everything? And that was the part I was excited about, to be quite honest, was the 5,000 years later. I saw that little title and I thought, oh, I'm so excited. I don't know. Let me tell you, by the time you get the first 2/3 of this is just fabulous. It is tense. There's trauma. There's dramatic tension. There's conniving. There's scheming. There's people getting up to no good, because what do people do in the end of the world? They're not following the rules for the most part. It's just fabulous. It's really, really well told story. Then it's that 5,000 years later, which is the part I was excited for. And, it was tough, let me tell you. The shift is so jarring, I almost bounced off of it. It took me another 50 pages to get back into the book once it shifted, because now we're back into another version of hard sci-fi. And that version of hard sci-fi is now we're really delving into what this new future looks like and why it works and how it works. And all of these details about how the society and the human race is set up, and it's not super easy to get into. It doesn't read like a typical story. It's not I was excited to get to it, and I had a hard time engaging with it for the first 50 pages or so. I did get into it, and I did enjoy it. But like, even for somebody like myself, who that was the part of the book I was excited to get to, and I found it like a jarring shift. If you're not ready for it or that's not your thing, I could see somebody bouncing off that portion of the story and not enjoying it at all. It is a very sharp shift into something very different than you've been reading for the first 2/3 of the book. So be warned. But I thought it was fabulous. The whole book, oh, so good. I loved it. I really did. That's my second Neil Stephenson book, the first being Snow Crash. Oh, they are both fabulous. I will definitely be reading more of him. I'm thinking maybe next might be Anathem or Anathema. Maybe. It might also be Diamond Age. I'm not sure yet. But that we'll see. Next, The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. This one, oh my God. Like I was talking about, I read Gone to See the Riverman last month, and I was like, this is extreme horror. This doesn't seem very extreme. Go read The Girl Next Door. This needs trigger warnings. This is, oh my God. This is intense. This is dark. There are things that happen in this book that you don't want to read about. Pretty much from page 1, this was a tough read for some. I mean, a lot of it, I was going to say for some of it. This was ugly. I mean, this is about a girl who's basically imprisoned and tortured, and there are people, multiple people in on this. There is an adult. There are other children. This is, oh, it's tough. Let me tell you, it is, oh boy, this is way more extreme, I feel, than Gone to See the Riverman. If you're into extreme horror, you don't know what this is disturbing. Like really, really disturbing stuff. I don't know. I don't want to say too much about it because it's just, I don't want to spoil it. It's a very small book, and I don't want to say about what's going to happen there, just in case you are interested in reading it. But be warned, Google the trigger warnings for this before you go into it, because they are rough. That's all I'll say. Although, I guess I didn't really say if it was good. It is a very good, I will say, I'm sorry, I got completely sidetracked talking about Be Warned going into it, but it was a good book. I would say it was an excellent book, maybe like an 8-ish out of 10, but I rather than talk about how good the book was, because it was genuinely a good book, genuinely impressive, just going after that subject matter in general was impressive. That's some, we'll say, ballsy stuff, but it was an excellent book. It was written well. It was presented well. Everything about it was good, but I was just really more concerned about giving you the trigger warnings. Be warned going into that. That's fucked up. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's talk about what I'm going to read in December. And I'm starting the month off with a brand new author that I have never read before, and that would be China Mieville. Now, I put a post out on my community tab as to what I should start with, because I have 2 books on the shelf. Actually, I have 3, but one of them is the Book of Elseworld by him and Keanu Reeves, and I don't want to start a new author with a collaboration. I always like to start a new author with like one of their dedicated books, so I can get a feel for them and their writing style before I do any type of a collaboration situation. So I had the 2 books on the shelf, Perdido Street Station and City in the City. I put out a community tab poll as to which one I should read, and Perdido Street Station won by like a lot. This was like 65% of the votes, and City in the City only got 35% of the votes. So Perdido Street Station it is, and that's where I'm starting. Actually, I already started it. I'm on like page 77 is where my bookmark is right now. It's pretty good so far. I mean, so far so good. We'll see. Let's read the rest of it. But Perdido Street Station, I don't even know what this is. I mean, what would you say? This is he's labeled as the new weird, so it's supposed to be weird. And so far, we're in a city with like human bug hybrids, humans with bug heads, and this bird creature comes up to him because he can't fly anymore, and he wants to learn how to fly. And Isaac is the scientist who's going to help him fly. There have been like augmented people with like animal parts. There's been augmented people with robot parts. There is, so far it's pretty out there. There's like the main city, there's the bone city, which is like the portion of the city that's just made inside the rib cage of a dead animal. It's weird. But so far, so good. Like I said, so far, so good. I'm having a good time with it. Anyway, we'll see how the rest of it goes. Perdido Street Station by China Mieville. Next up, I will be continuing my read-through of the Sun Eater series, and that will be with Kingdoms of Death. And so far, so good on this one, too. This has been an absolutely wonderful read. The first book was it was fine. It was a good book, but it wasn't like anything that I'd be like raving about on the internet, that's for sure. Book 2 was a huge step up, and book 3 I'd say was pretty much right on par with book 2. I don't think it was better than The Howling Dark Book. Jesus, if those two books are not just massively impressive, especially compared to Empire of Silence. Not that that was a bad book. Just if you read Empire of Silence and you're like, well, that was fine, keep going, because it gets really good. Really, really good. Anyway, Kingdoms of Death. I am super excited. This one seems pretty small compared to the last one. It's like 300 pages shorter. So it was also, I want to say, part split into 2 books because it was too long. And so this and the next one are like kind of split up. I don't know all the details. All I know is I'm excited to get back into that one because that is a very good series, although not as good as the other series that I'm currently reading. I would rank that one higher, but we'll get to that. Oh boy, we'll get to it. Anyway, next up, I realized that this month I haven't read a single Philip K. Dick book this entire year. I think last year I read like 5 or 6 of them, and this year I've literally read 0. And it kind of broke my heart when I realized that. So I said before the end of the month, I'm getting a PKD book in here. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to make that happen. So that's the next one. And this one, I decided I'll go with Time Out of Joint for Philip K. Dick. We'll give that a shot. It sounds good. I don't even know what this book's about. I know I read the blurb on the back. It sounds fabulous, and I love Philip K. Dick. I have like 2 shelves of like these little paperback Philip K. Dick books, and I'm just slowly working my way through his entire catalog because he is my second favorite author of all time. And I so far I haven't found one that I didn't like. So anyway, Time Out of Joint. I don't know if you've read it. If you have, don't spoil it for me, but tell me, did you like it? Because I'm going to get to that one here very soon. And then last but not least, the very last book of the month, the very last book of the year will be Memories of Ice. And I don't have a copy of it to hold up yet because I haven't got it in the mail. I had to order the trade paperback, which is so upsetting because I have the hardback Gardens of the Moon. I was able to get my hands on this little hardback Dead House Gates, and now I'm going to have a trade paperback for Memories of Ice. Are you for real? But I found one online, a hardback copy of Memories of Ice, and it was like $110, and I was like, no. I'm sorry, no. I'm not spending over $100 for a book I've never read. I don't even know if I like it. This series is fabulous. I've given I gave the first book a 9 out of 10. Very good stuff. I don't know what I'll give Dead House Gates yet. I haven't. You'll just have to watch that video. But so I guess I'm just going to have to put up with a trade paperback for now. If I finish this series and it's like one of the greatest things I've ever read, I'll go back and I'll get the hardback version of that for like whatever. I'll pay $100 if I have to, but I'm not paying that right now because I don't even know. I don't even know where my feelings are going to land on this when it's all said and done. So I'll just have to have a jacked up looking set for now. The books don't even match. The first one's like a big hardback and this one's like a little hardback, and then I'll have a paperback. It's going to be a wonky ass looking Malazan set that I have on my shelf, but that's okay. Now, moving on to manga. What am I going to read this month for manga? Last month I read Vinland Saga, or at least the first arc in Vinland Saga, and I was actually going to move on and do the second arc in Vinland Saga, but it's also December, and it's also Christmas, and I'm trying to do all of that stuff, and I realized if I moved on with Vinland Saga, I had to buy a bunch of books to do it, and I said, I'm not buying anything. I'm just not. No, we'll wait till next month to buy more Vinland Saga books. So I decided if it's not back here on the shelf, I'm not reading it. So that being the case, what do I have sitting back here on the shelf that I've been slowly putting on my shelf, waiting for the right time to read it? Well, that would be Blade of the Immortal. And I got these, actually the first 4 volumes of this at a used bookstore for like super duper cheap. Insane. I don't even know what to say. Deluxe editions, I'll take them. Then I grabbed another 1 or 2 of them. Anyway, that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the manga. But anyway, no, I figured it's been sitting back there forever, so we'll knock out some Blade of the Immortal. That way I can get it read, get that done, get through it, and not have to spend any money on any new books. Because, I mean, like I said, Christmas. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty excited. So I'm looking forward to this. This will get a dedicated video no matter what. I'll probably read... I will imagine I'll probably just go through the whole first arc, just like I did for Vinland Saga, and then I'll just talk about it, because I've got it back here on the shelf. There's no reason not to. And then last but not least is the Patreon pick for the month, which is, of course, where I send out a request to all of my patrons to suggest things for me to read that month, and then I pick one at random, and it is Foundation by Isaac Asimov. And this one was picked by Max13. If you are keeping track, this is the second month in a row that Max has won the Patreon pick. I don't know what to do. I felt really bad when I picked it because it's the second month in a row that he's won, but I pick it at random and I don't know what else to do. I'm not going to like cheat the system just because somebody won twice in a row. Anyway, I don't get very many suggestions either. I don't have a whole lot of patrons. Like I have very, very few. I have like 11 total. But I'll get like 3 or 4 suggestions and I'll like direct message people like, you sure you don't want to put in a suggestion? Like, so if you're not getting my messages like on Patreon or something, let me know, because I'll DM people and I still won't hear back from them. I mean, if you don't want to put in a suggestion, don't put in a suggestion. That's fine. I just get a shockingly low number of them. That's all. Anyway, so I guess check the Discord, check the Patreon, or just, like I said, just keep doing what you're doing. I love all of you. I appreciate all of you. I do want to say thank you specifically to my patrons, because that's just the fact that anyone's supporting me at all is kind of, I still can't get over any of this, to be quite honest. Also, thank you to everybody who's subscribed and everybody who just watches the video. Thank you to all of you. This is one of the greatest, most rewarding things on the face of the planet that I have done. And I just love every second of it. And I appreciate all of you. As always, everyone, the link for my Patreon is in the description below. The link for my Discord is in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.